Hello and welcome to this discussion. We are discussing Karnataka elections now. It has, as we know that Karnataka elections, it's a very complicated hung assembly situation right now. BJP has finished as the single largest party with around 105 seats, but Congress with 78 seats has decided to support the Janata Dal Secular and has offered its leader H.D. Kumaraswamy the chief minister's post. And reportedly, Kumaraswamy has already accepted the offer. The Congress leader Ghulam Nabi Azad in Bangalore told the media that both these parties will go and meet the governor this evening at around 5:30 and will stake claim to form its government. We'll be discussing this we have the founding editor of The Wire, Siddharth Varadarajan, and managing editor of The Wire, Monobina Gupta, who have been keenly following the developments today. So Siddharth, the BJP has opposed, the Yadurappa just held a press conference and talked about how this post-poll alliance between the Congress and Janata Dal Secular is against the people's mandate, and they will oppose it in courts, in perhaps on the streets. So what is your initial reaction to it?
Well, you see, the BJP is clearly shell-shocked because I think the way the leads were progressing, it was assumed that they would comfortably coast past 112. Having got stuck at 104, 105, the BJP was in the middle of a quandary, which has been compounded by the fact that in terms of popular vote share, the Congress, despite losing 50-odd seats, has polled more votes than the BJP. Right? So the Congress is around 38%, the BJP is around 36.5%. So it's 1.5% difference between the two parties. So to argue that the popular mandate favors the BJP is a bit of a stretch, right? Because you measure the way you measure popular mandate is to say percentage of votes, or one of the ways to measure is to say percentage of votes. And so clearly more people in Karnataka have favored the Congress than they have favored the BJP, right? So I think, unseemly though it seems, because even before we began our discussion, not everybody agrees that the Congress is morally in a position to stake a claim, let alone Kumaraswamy or JDS. But the fact is that the popular vote that the two parties together have got is 55%, right? So a significant chunk of the Karnataka electorate has chosen one or the other of these two parties as their first choice. So it's difficult to argue the way Yadurappa is saying that this is a complete overturning of the popular mandate.
What he was trying to say is that in the first past the post system of elections, they have emerged as the single largest party with 105 seats. So ideally, they should have been first. They should be asked to form the government.
Yeah.
But Congress obviously is harping on its popular vote thing. But if constitutionally or precedence-wise, what do you think the governor can kind of act?
So I think let's set aside the popular vote and the first past the post for the moment, because popular vote is really about the, you can say, the legitimacy of a mandate. We have to go by seats. So first past the post is the system. The problem for Yadurappa is that the BJP has not gone past the post, right? So it's got stuck at 104 or 105. You are short by 7. Not only that, the governor very shortly will be in possession of letters from the Janata Dal Secular and the Congress saying that we have decided to form the government. So if you remove JDS and remove Congress, then the governor, you have only two other MLAs.
Two other MLAs, yes.
And BJP plus those two do not form a majority, right? So, insofar as the governor, there is a grey area. The fact is that the JDS and the Congress didn't have a pre-poll alliance. There's a kind of fairly rich literature on what the obligation of the governor or the president is, and, when you have alliances or don't have alliances. But I think the overriding obligation that the president or the governor has is that you do not encourage horse trading, right? And here you have a situation where the Congress and the JDS are stating in writing that we are with each other, right? So for the governor to now call the BJP, knowing full well that they are 7 or 8 short, and that the only way they can bridge that gap is to break either the Congress or the JDS, in other words, engage in horse trading, I think would be deeply problematic and unethical.
Yes, and that's the question which is kind of being discussed right now among many analysts, because given the record of the BJP appointed governors in various other states, we have seen it in Goa, also in Manipur, where the governors have called not the single largest party, which was the Congress there, but called BJP to form the government, and effectively the governor's decision encouraged horse trading.
Exactly.
So do you, and here the government is Vajubhai Wala, who is a very well-known RSS leader, also a very well-known BJP leader. He vacated his Rajkot seat for Narendra Modi when he was parachuted to take oath as chief minister in Gujarat.
Yeah.
Yes. So given this record of BJP appointed governors, do you think there is a possibility that governor can delay the decision until the BJP kind of approaches the courts, as it has said?
I think it will be difficult for him because the difference between Karnataka on the one hand and Goa and Manipur on the other is that the Congress was rather slothful in both Imphal and Panaji. They were waiting somehow to be called as opposed to going and staking claim. And here the fact is that Kumaraswamy within the next half an hour will be actually with the governor armed with letters. And that makes the situation quite different. You know, so when the governor has it in writing, you know, and in any case, you know, pre-poll, post-poll, single largest party, there's, you know, you can look back and find all kinds of precedents to justify.
Yes. The Hindu has in fact carried an article which has listed out all these this kind of situations and has said that the Supreme Court in the past has not objected to any of the post-poll alliances if the numbers are well above.
You see, at the end of the day, it's the numbers, right? So the governor has to be satisfied that the person you are inviting to form the government will be able to prove a majority and run a stable government, right? So, and that he or she has acquired his support legitimately and not through the payment of money or inducement. Not calling Kumaraswamy and instead calling Yediyurappa is an invitation, and I want to underline this, it is an invitation for horse trading. Because you have already letters in your possession saying that we will not back the BJP. So under what circumstances will the BJP then form a government? It can only do so by offering inducements, either cash or in kind or ministerial berths, something or the other, which would fit the definition of, you know, what is conventionally understood as horse trading. So I think the governor is constitutionally bound to uphold the integrity of the poll process, and central to that integrity is that elected representatives should not be purchased by cash or other forms of inducement to support a government other than what their party has decided.
Yes, and in fact there have been some rumors which have not been confirmed yet that even BJP is kind of thinking about offering the chief minister's position to Kumaraswamy, but which looks very unlikely because it has projected Yediyurappa as the chief minister, which the Congress, Siddharth was leading the campaign, but in the Congress mold, it did not project it as chief minister. In fact, other Parmeshwaran also kind of pitted himself against Siddharth. But coming back to the whole situation right now, Monobina, who would have thunk, as they say, that Kumaraswamy with its own pocket of old Mysore region performed well and now are not the kingmakers, but in fact can become the kings. Yes. So how do you? So you have extensively covered the United Front government in the 90s, and we had a similar situation in 1996. Could you recall some of it and tell us how that situation and this situation has similarities and how political parties behaved at that point of time?
Yeah, in fact, the situation post-poll Karnataka situation actually reminds me of the post-poll Lok Sabha situation in May 1996. The BJP was the single largest party, and on the other hand, there were these 13 kind of regional parties and many chief ministers, and who were trying to prevent the BJP from coming to power at the centre. But the BJP, I think, had 161 seats out of 543 house. definitely the single largest party, because the rest of the groups which were actually opposed to the BJP, but they had never run a campaign together. They never kind of presented any kind of common agenda, which they kind of subscribed to. But post-poll, in their kind of in their intention to keep the BJP out, then CPM General Secretary Harkishan Singh Sukhjit took the lead, and all these 13 parties came together, and the United Front was born in the post-poll 1996 situation. In fact, the declaration of the front was made in the Central Hall, I think, of Parliament after the elections. So everything happened after the elections. There was a certain kind of cynical political maneuvering in that process, which was grounded in a larger political understanding that, which was ideological, that we will not get a party which is divisive at the center. But even at that time, the president had to call the BJP because it was the single largest party. Vajpayee government, which then became famously known as the 13-day government, couldn't prove
the 13 regional parties did not show their numbers to the president that
no,
they were in a majority?
So what happens is that even then, so there, there's a constitutional, there's a lot of kind of consultation with constitutional experts, which is why the president's office becomes so important at critical times when you have no clear mandate, when it's a fractured kind of mandate. While this group was in a kind of disarray, they didn't even have a prime ministerial candidate, because it all happened in a kind of turbulent situation. So the Vajpayee government, 13 days when the vote of confidence was put to the House, they couldn't, the BJP couldn't prove the majority, and then the United Front stepped in. Jyoti Basu was asked to be the Prime Minister. The party refused. So all this is happening post-poll. So why this comes to my mind is there was a certain kind of scrambling together by parties which was not really grounded in any kind of larger political perspective. It was more a single clear intention of keeping a divisive party, which they considered to be divisive, like party like the BJP, out of power. And then when Jyoti Basu's party refused to allow him to become the Prime Minister, Deve Gowda became the Prime Minister. But even then there was this whole ethical question, what is, should politics be, there were two kind of ethical questions here. One is that the question of the president, like who should he call, a single largest party or a group which is now providing a kind of representing a collective front and which has more numbers than the single largest party. On the other hand, for the group which is now suddenly put itself together, is it actually ethical to, because there were diverse elements, they didn't have a common economic agenda, they didn't have a common kind of cohesive social agenda, but they had one very common perspective.
Which is
which was to keep a party out which they perceived to be as divisive, and which was they felt it was in the interest of the greater good of the country. That
so it is almost in this on similar lines that Congress and JDS they are also coming together, because JDS, as we know, there were several speculations about JDS, but H.D. Deve Gowda maintained throughout the election campaign that he will not, that allying with BJP in the past was a mistake, and he went on to say that he would even disown his son Kumaraswamy if he chooses to ally with the BJP. So ideologically, the kind of Congress and JDS coming together is not a kind of something exceptional, but while BJP has gained more number of seats, the mandate also shows that BJP was not given a comprehensive mandate, because in many seats where they have won not with a great margin. So while we are talking about what could happen in the next few days, politically, how do you think that if in a situation where Congress and JDS form the government, what would be its political fallout, both in Karnataka and nationally ahead of 2019 elections?
I think it depends on how far, if I again go back to the United Front experience, a lot depends on the party which is supporting you, or the party which you're in alliance with, what kind of how ambitious, what kind of demands does it make, you know, on you? Does it want more and more representation in government? They are actually not natural allies, so to speak, Congress and Kumaraswamy.
Kumaraswamy, yeah, in the sense, but at right now the juncture is that they want to keep a party which they again consider as divisive, which is the BJP right now. So it's almost a similar situation. So, but Siddharth, what do you think? Do you see any kind of national fallout of it? There's a perception that there can be a counter mobilization against the Congress and JDS in 2019 elections, but there's still time to look.
You see,
Yes.
I think that for the BJP, what has happened today, if it is allowed to pass, in other words, if the JDS-Congress alliance holds and they form the government, is nothing short of a disaster, because it essentially lays the foundation for a future Congress-JDS pre-poll alliance in 2019.
Yes.
Now, had such an alliance been in place for this election, the BJP would have been hard-pressed to have won even 25 or 30 seats, right? So, it also sends a message to parties in Uttar Pradesh, West Bengal, Orissa, Tamil Nadu, wherever you have more than one anti-BJP party, that prudence dictates or suggests that you come together in a pre-poll alliance. So I think that that's at the level of what the arrangement in Karnataka would mean for the future prospects for anti-BJP alliances across the country, and that's very bad news for BJP.
Yes.
Secondly, the reason why the Congress is desperate to not allow the BJP to form the government in Karnataka is because if Yediyurappa becomes CM and the BJP can then proclaim that we have eliminated the Congress from Karnataka, that would have a hugely demoralizing effect on Congress cadre, and I dare say even voters at large would, the idea that the Congress is the party on the decline would be, that idea would be reinforced. Now you're going into Chhattisgarh, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Mizoram, important elections this year. The Congress would, I think, do anything, including sacrificing and allowing Kumaraswamy to be CM. They have no option in any case. Would do anything. I think even if the Congress was 4 short, they would still have given this position to Kumaraswamy, because for them, you need that headwind from Karnataka to boost your prospects in these other states and set up some kind of momentum for what is now a crucial election year. Right? So I think that the consequences of what is happening cannot be overstated for both Congress and BJP. And I think that the drama has only just started. The BJP has shown in the past to be quite capable of resorting to every possible trick, legal, extra legal, grey area, black and white. If it opens the possibility for the BJP to checkmate the Congress, the BJP will resort to that. So, I would say the next 48 hours are crucial. But I would expect the BJP to do everything in its power to make sure that this Kumaraswamy government with Congress backing does not fructify. And if they fail in that, then I think that the national canvas will begin to look quite different.
In fact, you mentioned about what if they would have had a pre-electoral alliance. They are in fact in an alliance in Bangalore Municipal Corporation, which is a huge corporation, and many were wondering on ground why didn't they come together. But BJP is right now thinking of 2 things, which is approaching the court first, and there are party insiders who have said that the Vajubhai Vala, the governor, can delay the decision almost by 2 weeks. And how would you see it?
You see, as of now, there is no role for the court. Like a court can only come in if the BJP wants to challenge a decision by the governor.
Yes.
Right? There's nothing on what are you going to appeal if Congress and Kumaraswamy say we're getting together. Right? So if the governor says no, then you could have the Congress and JDS going to court. But I don't see what issue the BJP will raise in court, other than to say that, and then since the governor is their man, then if you want to, I mean, he is the court as far as they're concerned. But I think for Mr. Vajwala, it is extremely difficult. It will be extremely difficult. It will be unseemly. It will be unconstitutional for him to turn away a coalition that says, yes, we fought against each other in the election, as indeed did BJP and the JDS. They also fought against each other, and that having fought against each other and having realized it's a hung assembly, we have no option but to come together. Here are our letters, and we are fully united in this.
It should be a very bitter experience for BJP because they have invested so much of energy and financial resources in the election. Almost the whole cabinet was there campaigning. Modi ji increased his rally from 15 rallies to 21. He eventually did that. And there were reports which said that seldom has so much of money being used in an election. And yet they fell short. And so they are definitely not taking it lightly.
They are not, and they shouldn't actually, because they've staked so much in this. But I just want to come back to the 96 analogy. You see, the one crucial difference between what happened then and what happened now is that if the president had been given some indication in writing that the nascent UF would have the backing of the Congress, right? Then perhaps he wouldn't have called Vajpayee to form a government which didn't last, right? So, I mean, in fact, Vajpayee was called in a way because the president, nobody was taking claim. Credibly, nobody was credibly taking claim, right? So then you have to call the largest party, right? So
even Vajpayee did not take.
Even he knew that this is not going to work, right? And so finally, and in fact, there's some talk of the indecisiveness of the Congress, so Narasimha Rao kind of twiddling his thumbs, delaying the letter of support for UF, so that finally the president had no option but to call. I noticed B. Krishna Anand tweeted. I frankly don't remember that detail.
Actually, the situation then was far more chaotic, I would say, because many more parties involved, and it was the national election than what we are witnessing now. And I think one point which is, I mean, if the whole question of morality in politics comes, then there's also the question of morality of giving a party so much time, again, like just like the Congress and JDS didn't fight together, neither did the JDS and the BJP. So if you're giving them so much of time, there has to be a give and take. So what will the BJP give the JDS for it to kind of, so that is, there is a huge
that is
moral
precisely
question
what
there.
everyone is asking. If not, if they have to what should the BJP do? For example, there's, as you said, there's only one independent and a very small party, only two candidates apart from these major players who have managed to win. And with BJP finishing at 105 or 104, they are still short of majority if they don't get the support of Janata Dal Secular. And Janata Dal Secular has already chosen to join hands with the Congress. So the other option that they have is
to break the JDS.
To break the JDS, and which will, and by as we know that if 38 is the number, they'll have to break 26 of its MLAs, which looks very unlikely. And if the BJP does that right now, it will show.
All that is, as I said, all that would be evidence of horse trading. No?
Horse trading.
So the governor has to. On the one hand, you have an option which allows you to form a government now or tomorrow. Which is JDS plus Congress, you have letters in hand, right? On the other, 2 weeks of open-ended, politicking, where money power and all kinds of other means will be deployed. I think the people of Karnataka will, recognize what is happening. And I think that it's at a moment like this that all the promises of somebody like Narendra Modi, na khaunga, na khane dunga, or this idea of, that we are different from the Congress, this is when you will be tested. Because you can't, you gave the Congress a good run for their money, you won more seats, but this is first past the post, and you have to get past the post, right? And if you don't get past the post, and if others join hands together and they get past the post, well, that's life, right? So, and the added problem for the BJP, as I said, is that if the BJP had won 50% plus of the vote share, then you could say that there is a big issue of morality and so on and so forth, right? But here, the BJP has 36.5%, Congress is 38%, JDS is 17%. So even in terms of the popular mandate measured by way of popular voting, this partnership makes sense.
Partition makes sense.
But I want to ask you, you covered, you covered the election. You would spend about 2 weeks there. How well do you think a pre-poll alliance between Congress and JDS would have worked? And what was the reason why? I mean, was the Congress so confident that they would do it by themselves that they said, it doesn't matter?
More than the Congress, Siddaramaiah I thought was very, very confident, and that is what kind of pushed him to contest from Chamundeshwari seat, which he had won only by 257 votes back in the before he joined the Congress in 2005. And who he was contesting against was G.T. Devegowda, who was his main aide in Chamundeshwari. So he was contesting directly against his old friend. And when I went to Chamundeshwari, I could sense a sense of anger against Siddaramaiah. And while people there did not kind of elaborate on why they are angry with the Siddaramaiah government, but I saw a significant section of, as they call, left-hand Dalits, angry with Siddaramaiah because he did not come to the constituency after that same constituency was divided into two after post delimitation. So Varuna, the adjoining seat, was where Siddaramaiah had always won, but he vacated that seat for his son Yatindra, who won very comfortably. But Chamundeshwari, the anger was so much that he had to face a loss by almost 15,000 votes. And he also struggled to win in Badami, where BJP put up a very strong tribal face, Sri Ramulu, in front of him. So pre-electoral alliance was indeed possible had it not been for Siddaramaiah's confidence. And Siddaramaiah was except in this place, he was a popular figure.
Yeah.
Even if people were not very supportive of him, people were also not very angry of him, and he introduced a slew of measures which were working on the ground. So that, I think, explains his confidence. But had there been a pre-electoral alliance, then this around 60-70 seats in Old Mysore region where JDS and BJP were in direct contest against each other, that vote would have consolidated. This is a place where BJP is not a player at all. This is
even where JDS and Congress were.
BJP is not direct contest with each other. JDS and Congress around 60 seats. BJP was not a player, but it ensured that it doesn't become a player also. Despite the fact that they were spending so much of money, so much of resources, the cabinet was there, they hardly visited Old Mysore region because they did not want to break the JDS vote, and they were completely relying on Congress's losses to form the government because if the Congress would have gained in these seats and had the JDS not won, the BJP would have directly kind of faced that loss. And Modi, while he did 21 rallies, he did not go to these areas at all. And so they very strategically put up candidates which would, if you see the caste-wise combination, would cut into the Congress's Ahinda vote bank and not the Vokaligas, which is JDS's strength. So all these factors the BJP wouldn't have come to BJP's advantage had there been an electoral understanding between these two, JDS and Congress.
But if there had been, that's part, I mean, what I was trying to get at was that for these 60 odd seats, right, the seats have either gone to Congress or to JDS.
Or the JDS.
So if there was an alliance, it would have also gone to Congress or JDS, right? So I'm saying that, what about in other regions? Would JDS have brought sufficient heft to Congress or vice versa in other regions to take away 40-50 seats from the BJP?
Yes, exactly. Because I was looking at the figures in North Karnataka, Hyderabad, Karnataka. BJP has won 11 or 12 seats there, which is unprecedented because there also it did not have a presence. But JDS in almost all the seats played a spoiler's role because it polled more than around 15,000 votes in many seats.
Okay.
And the same thing happened in central Karnataka, where BJP consolidated the Lingayat votes and split, and the votes and the anti-BJP votes, BJP votes got split between the JDS and Congress.
Right.
So in case of an alliance, this would obviously be looking at in hindsight, but BJP would have faced huge losses had they come together. Hardly. So the prospect of them allying for the 2019 elections will be very, very bad news for BJP. This is what what my sense is.
Right.
But I think anything you would like to
I
add?
think
Yes.
a pre-poll alliance does help a lot, because you project an united kind of front, and you take on something which I think Mamata Banerjee and perhaps some sections of Congress leadership have also been talking about, that there should be straight fight, BJP and the other side, or it shouldn't be cluttered with too many players cutting into the same constituencies. I think it does help because voters are very clear in their head that what are you voting for? First of all, your economic agenda or your social agenda or your political agenda. And also the vote transfer. If you are a cadre-based party, or if you have organizations at grassroots, like for example the SP-BSP alliance, if it works in UP, it can actually work very well, because then the votes have to be transferred. That's where the key lies. If and that's where your organizational capabilities, your cadres, networks, come into play.
Yeah. So I think we'll end at this, and so united front against BJP, and that's the kind of message Congress is trying to send. BSP, and it is also, as Karnataka, as they showed in Karnataka, Congress President Rahul Gandhi is willing to play the second fiddle also, and make leaders like Kumaraswamy or any regional players the leader of the flock. So, and let's see how the following week unfolds. What the governor has the responsibility to prevent horse trading and fulfill the mandate of his office. He is expected not to he is expected to fulfill the role of governor's office and not as an old RSS hand. Let's see what happens now, and that will be it from The Wire. Thank you very much for listening.